I'm happy when I get outs in one, two, three pitches. So obviously that's my plan. Now, yeah, if it gets 0-2 in the first two pitches, then I'm sure, most pitchers are trying to strike someone out. But other than that, you're just trying to get the result as fast as you can. Um,
Mhm.
and obviously not just get a result, but get, a weak result, really just a weak hit, a weak grounder, or something to get the game moving, get the defense going behind you.
Good morning, Hatter Nation, and welcome back to another edition of Coffee with Hats. I'm your host, Mark Mashad Jr., and this morning we sit down with Stetson Junior captain and left-handed pitcher, Chris Gonzalez. Chris is going to talk about his mentality on the mound, how he handles when situations don't necessarily go his way or the way that he's wanted them to go as a pitcher, and all the different things that he's learned throughout the course of his 3 years and the process of becoming a captain as a junior. So let's jump right into it with this week's edition of Coffee with Hats with Chris Gonzalez. Welcome to the show, Chris.
So, Mark, thanks for having me.
Oh, man, it is awesome. Really excited to have you on today. What is the hat that you are wearing right now?
So it's a hat I got up in the Cape. It says Nauset Surf. It's a surf shop there on Nauset Beach in Orleans. It's probably the hat I wear most on campus too. So
Awesome.
might as
Now,
well wear
do
it now.
you surf? Like, have you surfed?
No,
Do you
no.
just like the hat?
Yeah, I do. I've tried surfing and I'm not very good at it. So shout out to
Yeah.
John Miola for being a pretty good surfer.
Oh, he can surf. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, he
okay.
he can surf.
Would you say he's the top guy of surfing on the
Oh
team?
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. Oh
for
man,
sure.
that's cool. He does like the water. He's good out
Yeah,
of the
he
water.
does.
Um, what do you got for coffee?
I got McDonald's Keurig premium coffee, and it's in my Stetson coffee mug I've been using for the last 2 years.
And that was it. That's a plug. McDonald's, one of our school sponsors. So we didn't even plan that. So thank you for the plug for McDonald's on the
Yeah.
on the coffee there. Let's talk a little bit about what it was like for you growing up in Miami, Florida.
So obviously I've been blessed with amazing weather year round, which allows me to play baseball or I guess any other sport throughout the year where a lot of people can't. Um, I mean, I don't necessarily live when you think about Miami, like in the city or the beaches. I feel like everyone thinks that. I lived in a normal suburb, just like most people, I guess. And yeah, life was pretty fun, pretty normal. I don't know. I like going to the beach. I like boating and
Mhm.
stuff, but it's definitely not everything we do here.
Yeah. So I know you have one brother, right, who will be coming into school next year to play for us. What's the rest of your family situation? Like, what's your family like? Family life?
Yeah. So I have Jonathan, my brother, coming in next year, and then another little brother, Anthony. He's a sophomore in high school, and then yeah, those are my two siblings, and then my parents.
They're there too. Awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so growing up, you are the oldest, and then you got the two younger brothers. What is it like? What was a typical week? You guys were young kids growing up. What were you guys doing? Playing in the driveway, running down to the park. What were you guys doing for fun?
Well, it was either I was playing baseball and my brothers were at my games, or I was at their games while they were playing. So it felt like every day we were at the park.
Mm.
Um, it's funny, like obviously when my little brothers were playing, like there was a ton of siblings that were my age, and we'd always be playing on the basketball courts next to the field or riding around in bikes or ripsticks. Back then, those were the thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I
yeah,
never
so we
did.
were
I
always out
didn't
and
do
about.
ripstick.
No, yeah.
No.
I pulled mine out last week. I found it in the garage and I wrote it. So kind of nostalgic.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
was it like, did it have a little learning curve back to doing the ripstick again, or were you just smooth sailing right away?
Oh, I got right back on it. It was fine. I
Nice.
definitely needed some WD-40 though, because it wasn't really moving as good. But yeah.
Awesome. So you obviously you played some sports outside, just kind of extracurricularly. Did you play anything else competitively in high school or in on other teams or something like that?
In high school, no. Actually, when I got to Columbus, like I focused only on baseball. Um, so yeah, baseball starting from ninth grade on. That's all I've done. In middle school, I played everything: um, soccer, cross country, basketball. Really, whatever the school offered, I played it. But once I got to high school, I focused only on baseball.
Hmm. Awesome. And so, what did you guys do? Like, did you take trips? Was it just straight sports? Did you go like do camping? Did you guys do any of that type of stuff family wise?
Yeah. My parents have really made it a priority for us to travel. They think it's obviously like a great way for us to learn
Mm.
just about so many different things. And so we do plan a lot of traveling. We travel a lot. It's normally either when there's no baseball or when baseball, sometimes baseball is the reason why we're traveling. But like, let's say, like, for example, like I went to Cooperstown, for baseball when I was 12.
Mm.
So right after the trip, we went down, to New York City and visited the city. So baseball has actually allowed me to like travel to so many places that I would have never got to go to.
Yeah, that's kind of associating with you there. That's the only I had really never been out of New England until I got involved with baseball. And then I mean, I've been all over the country because of the game, and that's really cool. What's outside of I'm guessing Cooperstown was a pretty awesome trip.
Yeah.
Do you have another favorite trip that you've been on?
Um, Actually, it was my sophomore year of high school. We went to Alaska on a cruise, and that was a really cool experience.
Was
So
that
yeah,
baseball related?
no, it wasn't baseball related.
Oh, cool.
This was actually just a trip my parents had planned out, and we went with like three or four different families, and that was probably the coolest trip I've been on because we were on a cruise with our friends for a week, and we'd visit so many different places in Alaska. It was in the summertime too, so like the weather was great. I saw Seattle on that trip, and I even went to Canada on that trip. So that was a really cool trip. I'd say that was probably my favorite trip that we've been on.
No, that's awesome. Did you see crazy wildlife out there in Alaska at all?
Yeah, we actually saw. I want to say there were killer whales, or
Mm,
maybe I don't remember which whale it was, but they would. We went out on the boat whale watching in Juneau,
yeah.
and you'd see like the whales. They'd start circling around, and then like kind of create like a hole in the middle, and the fish would get stuck in the middle, and they take turns going under and like jumping up and like eating the fish. It was
No
like, and we
kidding.
saw it right like probably 30-40 feet away from us.
So you actually watched the circle of life happening like right in
Yeah,
front of you in the ocean. That's crazy.
it was really cool.
Oh man. Well, let's kind of move in now to college baseball. You're at Stetson. Um, what kind of got you to Stetson? What was the recruiting process like for you to come to Stetson? If you can think back a couple years.
Yeah, for me, my story was pretty easy. I really had nowhere, like not nowhere to go, but really had no idea where I was going. Um, Come late February of my senior year, which is obviously pretty late. And my high school coach called Coach Trimper to see if he can come see me, and um, that went by. And the next week, Coach Sterno was at my game. Me not even knowing, he actually wasn't even there for me. He was there for like another player, and it was like the best high school start I've ever had. And maybe 2 days later, 3 days later, I got a call from Stetson to come visit campus, and literally a week later, 2 weeks later, I committed.
That's
I really had
awesome.
no other. had no other D1 offers. So I was pretty dead set on, calling it quits with baseball and just going to college before that
Man,
happened.
and that would have been a kind of a tough story because you've come to Stetson, you've had a very good career, you've worked your way up the ladder into starting roles, and you had the Friday night starter for a good amount of time. Last year, you worked your way into that role, and you were in that role at the beginning of this year, and then you kind of worked into a little bit of a different role, starter and guy coming out of the pen. And you've had both of those roles throughout your career. Uh, how are those two roles different for you? Or, like what's it like having that type of a role where you could start in a midweek and then come out of the pen in a later in the week and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's really tough actually. Um, I've been able to do both, and I'd say starting on Fridays was easier than
Mm-hmm.
starting those Tuesday games and relieving on the weekends, just because you have to get obviously your arm ready to go. Um, but more than that, honestly, mentally, it's probably tougher mentally just because you have to really lock in
Mm-hmm.
and make sure you're preparing every single day for that. But yeah, they're definitely two completely different roles. With starting, especially warming up for a start, like what time the game starts, what time everything starts, and when you're relieving, like you may have 6 pitches to come in,
Mm-hmm.
you may be warming up for 2 innings and then never come in. So um, definitely the preparation is completely different, and um, yeah, shout out to the relievers because
Mm-hmm.
it's tough. It really is.
If you go, anybody could go look your stats up, right? And looking at your stats, you maintain a 1.3 WHIP over your career, which is pretty good. That's a slightly, I would say, above average walks and hits per innings pitched, and you maintain a 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio over your career. So, are you like that's a lot of strikeouts, 4 strikeouts to every 1 walk that you allow. Um, are you going out there looking to get strikeouts? What is your mentality when you step out on the mound?
No, definitely not trying to get strikeouts, especially with me not I don't throw too hard. I just try to hit spots. Honestly, the happy like I'm happy when I get outs in 1, 2, 3 pitches. Like so obviously that's my plan. Now yeah, if it gets 0-2 in the first 2 pitches, then I'm sure, most pitchers are trying to strike someone out. But other than that, like you're just trying to get the result as fast as you can. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously not just get a result, but get, a weak result, really just a weak hit, a weak grounder, or something to get the game moving, get the defense going behind you. Like I'm happy when I get outs in 1, 2, 3 pitches. Like so obviously that's my plan. Now yeah, if it gets 0-2 in the first 2 pitches, then I'm sure, most pitchers are trying to strike someone out. But other than that, like you're just trying to get the result as fast as you can. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously not just get a result, but get, a weak result, really just a weak hit, a weak grounder, or something to get the game moving, get the defense going behind you.
Like, how do you create that tempo in the game? And then when there's like, let's say you give up a hit or 2 hits in a row, or you walk a guy, what do you do to get back on track? Do you even not get off track? Like, are you just like, okay, whatever, move on?
Um, I think actually when runners get on, I I don't try to slow down the pace, but maybe mentally slow down a little bit. I take a couple deep breaths. Just really, really focus. Like think, slow the game down. But that doesn't mean that the pace of the way I pitch slows down. If that makes sense, because I mean,
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
start to slow down your pace, you just give advantage to the hitter. So mentally, I'm slowing down, but physically, I'm still keeping a quick pace.
Gotcha. No, and That's a key thing. Now, how do you slow yourself down mentally?
Well, the first thing is, yeah, take a deep breath. And normally in my head, I'll have like a scouting report of where I think, a hitter, where their weaknesses are, what I did to them last at bat, maybe if it
Mhm.
comes to second, third at bat in the game, how I got them out that time, how can I get them out this time, pretty much.
Mhm.
And all this is happening like really quickly, obviously, because you got to keep the game going.
Yeah.
Um, so that's really how I think up there. I really try not to think too much about mechanics when I'm up there. That's for the bullpen.
Mhm.
Um, Once you're out there, you just try to throw and try to attack hitters.
You keep one of the most immaculate lockers I've ever seen in college, in baseball, in any locker room situation. You are organized to a T, and you're meticulous on all of those areas of your life. And I can actually see in your room. Maybe you can see in your room the baseballs are perfect,
Yeah,
are organized very well. Everything's got a place. You do have one stirrup though. I don't know if you got another stirrup, but
it's on the
talk
other
to us
side.
about that.
Yeah, it's on
Okay,
the other
good.
side.
See, so you are organized. What are those stirrups, by the way?
Yeah, those are my summer ball stirrups in the Cape, and I just wanted to bring them back, and I actually really liked them, so I hung them up. Yeah,
Awesome.
um, that's really it with those. I just like keep I like there's a ton of stuff. I don't want to consider myself a hoarder, but like I like collecting stuff from memories, and those stirrup socks did that. So
Yeah, so you like the memories, you like the mementos and stuff like that. And
yeah,
what else do you have in there that's a memento or a memory for you?
those baseballs, they're actually on the other side too.
Okay.
Those are pretty much like all the places that I've traveled for baseball. Like, well, so there's most of the baseballs up there are from like every away game that we've been to, like starting from my freshman year. Every single place we've been to, I've gotten either like a foul ball or home run or something.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the ball that I warmed up with, but I always just like stick it in my bag and I log it up, and then once I come home, I hang them all up.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. All right, nice. Okay. Also, moving on from there, um, we kind of talked about how you handle failure or how you handle when something happens to you out there in the on the field. Um, I'm curious, how do you handle it when a guy makes an error behind you?
You got you got to keep going. Like you can't sit and pat on it, especially out on the field,
Yeah.
because the game's still going on. You still got to get outs. So you just keep on chugging along, keep doing what you're supposed to do, and you know they'll come around and make the next play for sure.
Hmm.
And that's how you have to treat it. You just have to um, go out and try to get the next out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I mean, that makes total sense. It's
Yeah,
a
I guess you can call it just limiting damage.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, he didn't mean to make the error. I didn't mean
Hmm.
to give up a hit. Like it's the same thing. So you just keep going along. It's a part of the game.
Okay. Cool. Are there any things like, do you like try to pick that guy up? Do you look to kind of,
I would, it would if that happens, it'd be in the dugout. It wouldn't be out on the field. So normally, yeah, I'd go up after the inning and tell him something. And
okay.
same for them. They'd obviously come up. They always apologize. And it's like, no, it's up. It's fine. You're good. Just pick it up with the bat. And they
Yeah.
always end up doing that.
And that's the game, right? It's
Yeah.
just, I love being able to kind of find out how different people handle the tough parts of the game because the game is full of tough
Yeah.
situations, and maybe some high school kid somewhere might listen to this and gain a little bit of knowledge on how to be better at handling stuff like that because it's going to happen in the game.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about how you approach your starts. What's your
Um,
routine of a day of a start?
okay, well, day of, nothing really changes like the morning of, or I don't need anything special. I don't need anything special for lunch. Um, yeah, I try to keep it like just like a normal day. I don't want to change anything and make it a start day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Once I get to the field, I have like a timed routine that I end up doing where I'm stretching, starting like an hour before, um, about 45 minutes before like I'm getting changed. Then 30 minutes out, I have another stretch routine I do out on the field. Start throwing right at 6 o'clock for a 6:30 game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and normally I'm done by like 6:12, 6:13. By 6:15, I'm on the mound, and by 6:25, I'm in the dugout, and the game starts at 6:30. So that's really like a routine that I've kept by just by time. And if
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the road, I'll back everything up by 5 minutes. But other than
Because
that, yeah.
you have more time, yeah.
Other
Is
than
it
that,
is
I
it the
try to
same?
stay on that.
Did you? And I apologize there
No, you're good.
if I interrupted you. Is it the same routine as if you were in summer ball playing, or if you
Yeah,
were at Stetson playing?
yeah. I kept the routine just the same when I went up there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because like I said earlier, I think the routine really helps you learn and grow. And
Mm-hmm.
now, if you see that some parts of it aren't working,
Yeah.
then yeah, you go back and change it. But
Did you have this?
I've liked it, so I've kept stayed with it.
Did you have this routine in high school?
I kind of came up with it there in high school. Um, I think some of the times were off, because the national anthem was done differently and just little things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've definitely started in high school. I would stretch at a certain time, start
Yeah.
throwing at a certain time. So it definitely started there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, and I was just curious, are there any things that have changed? Like, what's changed in your routine since coming to college?
I think I've added more stretching.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think as you get older, you gotta stretch a little more to keep your body healthy. Um, I'm not saying I'm old in any way, but
Right.
I'm older than I was in high school, where you can just get away with things where you didn't have to stretch as much or
Mm-hmm.
prepare as much really.
And you kind of alluded earlier in the interview on that you're not you don't rely on velocity to get guys out, or to get strikeouts. Um, you work to pitch with in your with the mentality of knowledge about a hitter, knowledge of what you bring, knowing yourself, and I think you know yourself as good as anybody in the game, and how you pitch and how you are, what you have to do to be successful. Um, what would you say is the pitch you've improved the most, or the area of pitching you've improved the most since coming to Stetson?
Um, I'd say the use of my changeup and the confidence in my changeup. Those are probably like the two things where in high school I never really threw my changeup. I wasn't confident in my changeup.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Most of the time, if you're in high school, throwing a changeup helps the hitter,
Mm-hmm.
because you're just speeding their bat up. Where in college, everyone's a lot better, and the changeup's probably the most important pitch that you can throw to a hitter. Really, at least that's what the hitters tell me. And so definitely that. And I'd say that is more a credit of Coach T. Um, he didn't change any grips, didn't change the way I threw it at all, but it's more just the mental side of throwing it, how you want to throw it. Like, don't be afraid to throw it as hard as you can. Things like that.
Yeah.
Just mental notes that have helped me improve that pitch. Really.
Are you like, so number one, are you confident in throwing that pitch in any count?
Yeah.
And number two, what kind of is there a moment that you kind of started to realize, all right, I actually really like this pitch now?
Well, I guess my freshman year, um, I came in without a slider.
Mm-hmm.
I came in with just the loopy curveball and a spotted up fastball.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I needed another pitch to throw and to throw consistently and confidently. And so just that freshman year working on the changeup and stuff, it's given me like another pitch to go to. And yeah, I don't know if I went off topic a little,
No, no,
I may
you're
have gone a
fine.
little bit
You're
off, but
perfectly fine.
yeah, you just, you got to practice pitches, even though you're not comfortable throwing them.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually they get better, and
And that's probably one of
you
the
just
most
add to your
important
arsenal.
things.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the most important things that's been said in one of these interviews is practicing things when you're not comfortable doing them. Like nobody wants to do the things that you're not
Yeah.
good at, right? But in order to become better, we have to do the things that we're not good at, right? We have to improve on our flaws, and that is exactly what you've done.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to throw, let's say for my slider. I've been trying to throw my slider since like junior year of high school, and I couldn't figure it out until sophomore year in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that didn't mean I gave up on it. Like I've been throwing it in flat grounds, been throwing it in pens, and until I got comfortable throwing it in the game. And now I use it probably just as much as my changeup.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
That's fantastic stuff. Okay, before we close up here, I would like to ask you to talk a little bit about being a captain and about wanting that, going after that leadership role in the program. Like you weren't just elected a captain. Throughout our process that we had this year, individuals had the opportunity to go through classes, learn about leadership, learn from different leaders, and then actively say, I want to be a guy who leads this program. I want to know what led you to that, and then what it was like for you being a captain this past year.
Well, I guess leading me into that, I was a captain my senior year of high school. And I really enjoyed like just helping people, helping my teammates, especially through failure. And when I got here, obviously I had no intentions of being a captain, being a leader, especially my freshman sophomore year. I knew I needed to learn more, and I got to learn from some of the best my
Mm-hmm.
freshman year, my sophomore year, and then junior year I felt like I was obviously more on the mature side. I was one of the older players on the team this year, and I felt like you could give me the title as a captain. I don't think the title really changes much. Like I still would have been the same person, same player. Because I try to lead more of by example. Like as you probably assume, I'm not super vocal in practice or anything. But I try to lead by example, through work ethic and then just bringing guys aside, in the locker room, in the dugout. Um, that's how I like doing it. Like I guess more one on one, talking to guys one on one. I think you build a better relationship than yelling at someone at practice. But definitely both methods work. I like to stay on the side of just talking to someone one on one. But yeah, I just felt like I could help, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I got myself into this role.
Awesome. Yeah, and you've been doing a good job with that, and it's great. I love seeing people going after leadership roles. It's an awesome thing to see, and you're doing a great job with it. So let's move into the last segment here on Coffee with Hats, and it's three strikes. It's just a little fun, We just tell me the first person that pops into your mind, and let's get it going with three strikes.
All right.
On the Stetson baseball team, who is the most accident prone?
Zem Schwab.
Okay, that has pretty much been
Yeah.
unanimous for this.
Yeah. Sorry,
Um,
Zem.
okay, This has actually been it's kind of another teed up question. The same person has gotten this every time. Who is the most likely to become Instagram famous?
It would have to be Austin Ezra Dilbert.
Yes, and he is. I think he would use all three names for his
Yes, he
Instagram
would. He
fame.
would.
um, and the last question, third strike. Who is the loudest on the team?
George.
Georgie. Okay.
Georgie
Beautiful.
Linus. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So that's going to wrap up our interview with Chris Gonzalez. Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here. Thank you for taking time out of your day, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been fun.